If it doesn't.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. Hard times are when the textile workers around this country are out of work. They got 4 or 5 kids and can't pay their wages, can't buy their food. Hard times are when the auto workers are out of work and they tell them go home. And hard times are when a man has worked at a job 30 years. 30 years. They give him a watch, kick him in the butt, and say, hey, a computer took your place, Daddy. That's hard time. That's hard time.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Hard times are a dish best served cold as the prodigal son of the WWE returns with a vengeance. It's blood for blood and by the gallon as Shane McMahon prepares to overthrow the authority on the grandest stage of them all, WrestleMania. Yet, this hostile takeover could quickly become derailed because standing between Shane O'Mac and his birthright is the shadow of death, the Undertaker. There is no escape, and there is only one way for Shane to ascend to the throne. He must survive hell in a cell. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. It is Thursday once again, and you are listening to the officially unofficial 5-star NXT post-show and SmackDown pre-show. This is WWEC Radio. I'm Tommy Sharp alongside Graham GSM Matthews and the acute analyst RJ as we continue our journey on the road to WrestleMania. Graham, RJ, a pleasure as always. Let's not mince words. Let's talk some Shane McMahon.
I'm ready. Here comes the money. 35 days to go. 38 days, I apologize, until WrestleMania 32. And we kicked off the road to WrestleMania. I know you could say the road to WrestleMania starts the day after WrestleMania 31. It starts the day after the Royal Rumble. To me, it started on Monday Night Raw, the night after Fastlane. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. Very good pay-per-view. But from what this was, an excellent edition of Monday Night Raw on Monday night, kicking off with Shane McMahon making his long-awaited return to the WWE after almost 7 years. Just an incredible return for Shane O'Mac, interrupting the Legacy of Excellence Vincent J. McMahon Award being awarded to Stephanie McMahon. And then we're thinking, okay, maybe is this a swerve? Is this a work? We were talking about it off the air last week. Here comes the money, hits the arena. Detroit loses their shiznit collectively. Bliss goes nuts. I go nuts. RJ, you saw it. We both went nuts. And I don't know what else to say. We'll talk about it right now, but I just got to say, as a fan, before we start analyzing this, as wrestling fans, what we want to see at WrestleMania, what this means for the show of shows, as a fan, for me, I loved it. One of my biggest, quote-unquote, mark-out moments in some time. It really did put in perspective for me how great it is to be a fan sometimes, to be completely blindsided by some things that WWE does.
Jaw-dropping, stunning. You know, I never would have anticipated a moment like that happening for an award like that, which I was so convinced was going to be an honorary award, truly. I was convinced when Vince came out and asked people to casually not what his entire speech coming up, I felt for him, because sometimes Vince the man comes out and wants to talk about the business, and it's always a shame to me that what chant just stomps all over everything. And I there was that moment where I really felt like this was going to be a monumental award given to somebody that truly has deserved it. As they said, no one has ever deserved this award until now. And the second that he started saying that this person represented the business qualities and aspects of his father, I started really becoming concerned.
I mean, by that point, I didn't even hear that part. The only thing that I heard when Vince was talking was my heart beating out of my chest, waiting, who's coming out?
Who's coming out?
Is it Goldberg? Is it whoever? Who is it? Bret Hart? I mean, who's coming out? So I didn't even hear that part.
Goldberg deserving the Vincent J. McMahon
knows?
Legacy of Excellence Award would be a real swerve. I would look for the cameras on that one.
I'll say this much. Logic was not the first thing in my mind when they were presenting that award. I'm just thinking...
Neither is it right now. It's just still so shocking to think that after spending 7 to 8 years away from the business, and we'll get into maybe why and speculate, because I have some thoughts on that, but to see Shane come back, someone that, you know, over the past couple of years with the ups and downs that certainly social media and the internet has thrown towards the WWE, I've always thought that somebody like Shane could actually come back
and turn people's opinions around almost overnight. And now we have this opportunity, but it wasn't without Shane being thrown into a match himself. And I was doubly surprised by that turn.
Against the Phenom of all people, inside Satan's structure, Hell in a Cell come WrestleMania. The guy who's only suffered one defeat on the grandest stage in them all. And not only that, but if he wins, which we'll talk about right now, he gains control of Monday Night Raw, which means therefore he gains control, as Vince said, of the entire WWE.
And I want to say one thing right now before we go forward. I do not approve, nor do I want to continue to hear anything about brand splits. The control of Monday Night Raw, as we have seen with SmackDown currently, the Authority control Monday Night Raw, and the aftermath of Monday Night Raw bleeds into what SmackDown has become. SmackDown is a strong show because of the precedent set at Monday Night Raw, and no general manager is needed to come out and make matches. Certainly delegates like Jericho, like Ambrose, and even Authority members in the past have shown up on SmackDown to set matches, to move that forward, and they're given instructions to do so. I feel like that splitting and further segregating the main roster would be such a huge mistake right now, and that's why Shane is so tactical, so focused on gaining control specifically of Monday Night Raw, because it sets the tone for the entire universe.
I think it really, I think the key words there are right now. I feel like a brand split. I love the idea of a brand split, but the reason why it failed to begin with was because they didn't utilize it properly. They didn't execute it the right way. We had 2 shows, and towards the end, in the last, you can make an argument, 5 to 10 years of the brand split, however long it was around, from 2002 to 2011, 2013, whatever. It's very debatable. It didn't mean anything. SmackDown was the B show. It always was the B show, but at least early on there were points where like, wow, this could really surpass Raw. They're on the same level in terms of talent. Towards the end, their top guys were Big Show, Jack Swagger, Drew McIntyre. Like, it didn't really seem like it was on par with Raw. It had to go. So maybe not right now, maybe down the line. That's a discussion for another day. But, I think if anything else, there's a lot of intrigue. I mean, if that's not the main event, that is the real main event of WrestleMania right there. Triple H and Roman Reigns, I'm in that minority here. I realize that, but I'm looking forward to that match after what we saw on Monday night. We'll talk about that as well.
Big time.
But I feel like
Big time.
Shane and Taker is the marquee match at WrestleMania. And this is for someone that has only been watching since 2008. So the last time I saw Shane was in 2009 before he left for 7 years. But RJ, for someone like you who has loved Shane McMahon, only on Saturday introducing your non-wrestling fan roommates to Shane O'Mac, showing them Kane versus Shane McMahon from 2003.
Great match.
And only 48 hours later, he returns in the flagship show Monday Night Raw. What was going through your head when you saw Shane O'Mac return on Monday night?
I was excited. I wasn't as excited as you were. I was excited just inside. You kind of showed it and did your little markup, but I was excited. Like you said, Shane McMahon's been gone for 7 years. We kind of need that new authority figure, that new face of McMahon to be in the WWE. So I was really excited to see Shane back, and the pop that he got from the Detroit crowd was unbelievable. Like, he was like tearing up a little bit. Like, they were really showing their appreciation for Shane. It's great to see him back, and can't wait for WrestleMania now. Like you said, you're in the minority with the Triple H and Roman Reigns match, but I think Shane versus Undertaker is kind of like the quote-unquote main event now.
Yeah, the card is filling up with some really heavy, high-stakes kind of matches because, now to know that the Authority could be displaced because of Shane makes a potential Triple H victory over Roman Reigns that much more complicated. And it'll be interesting to see which match comes first on the card. This could set a huge tone for how the stakes could be raised for either match, I feel. And the rippling effect from that following what is most known as the hottest Monday Night Raw of the year is the Raw following WrestleMania. We are in for a full-on, overhaul and overthrowing of the entire universe potentially. So, this is gonna really shake up, I feel, and make WrestleMania exciting for a lot of people who have, come out and said that WrestleMania is not very exciting this year. I think the quality of matches this year is going to be phenomenal. Not to dive right into AJ and Jericho and what they're doing right now, but let's pull the curtain back a little bit. I had a couple of candid thoughts and some things that I've been reading about Shane over the years, and some things I saw on Monday that I think were very cool and very telling of how exciting this change could possibly be. But you could even see it on the face of Vince and Stephanie that they were trying to hold back how much energy that place was producing as well. They could certainly feel the excitement, even knowing that it was going to work against them in the end. You couldn't help but be swept up in all of that excitement. And for Shane to have been gone for 7 years, let's talk about that real quick. Why would Shane McMahon, at the height of probably his on-screen popularity, decide to move away from the company? I always thought there must have been something between him and his father, or him and management, and the way that the WWE was run, that would be stifling to him, that would be emotionally, creatively just not interesting to him, and that's why he would move on. Not being supported behind the scenes, whatever it might be. Speculation run wild, right? But the facts are the facts. He left this country, and for 7 years he started a video on demand business that created a successful market share in his area, and he has thrived in that market for a good number of time and built a very successful company. What does that say about him as a financially sound business person, as a choice to run a public company? Well, if you consider the fact that Stephanie McMahon went to business school, that Stephanie McMahon has now been a principal owner and a chief marketing director, and has done so much work for the WWE, so much positive work, despite whatever you might think of Stephanie McMahon, positive impacts across the board. Her and Triple H done a fantastic job. But do shareholders at the end of the day, with ratings dipping, with talent injuries abound, with a video on demand network, the WWE network, as a major asset of their future going forward, do shareholders, do board members truly feel that the management in place with I don't mean to knock the guy, but with an aging Vince McMahon at the helm, do they feel like that's the right leadership to take everyone forward to the future? Stephanie only has in-company experience on her resume. She does not have the outside experience that someone else would need to come in and take over the reins from Vince McMahon, who should be looking at retirement somewhat in the near future. So I look at Shane McMahon. He comes back. He has this fantastic resume. He's still the same presence on that microphone, still the same energy, popping right out the gate, doing his Shane O'Mac walk across the stage, just wheeling and dealing as he does. And I gotta say, in that moment, the realization of all of that, the totality of all of it, really hit me, and I think that that's why I marked out so much. Not because that this was a facade change that we're seeing on television, but the man has a real resume to carry the job, and he can do the job, and he could probably do it better than anybody else. And he's a different mentality. He's definitely different than his father. And I just wonder what that does for talent backstage. I wonder what that does for the product as a whole. And maybe those are the changes that we've all been looking to see. And I don't find him to be pandering. I find him to be quite intelligent about how he does this. So interested to hear you guys' thoughts.
A lot of different viewpoints, but I think the biggest question right now, both from a business perspective, kayfabe perspective, fan perspective, is he going to do the job at WrestleMania when he goes one-on-one with The Undertaker? Exactly. I mean,
I get the sell in your way. How do you get through that? I mean, jeez.
Not just Hell in a Cell,
but The Undertaker,
the master of the Hell in a Cell,
who's only so far found defeat at the hands of Brock Lesnar.
It's not Zack Ryder, it's Brock Lesnar.
I don't see Shane McMahon taking Brock Lesnar out anytime this century. So I just really, that's the one caveat to all of this, is now that the stipulations are set, fun speculation kind of hits a screeching halt when you come to The Undertaker.
I think with the business perspective in terms of what you're talking about, I mean, what he says on TV may not be exactly true. Who knows? At the promo he cut on Monday could have been a work shoot. Who knows? I mean, the whole, you're the reason, when he was talking to Vince and to Stephanie, specifically, and Triple H, you're the ratings have dropped. You're the reason why the stock has dropped. You're the reason why all these injuries are happening on your watch. But I think what's more interesting than anything else is that when he left in 2009, at the dawn of 2010, it seemed like, to me anyway, that he was not interested in carrying on the legacy of the McMahon family in terms of running the company.
Agreed.
Like Stephanie and Triple H were. They had more of an interest and doing that side of things. And Shane, like you said, went on to do other things in China with his own company, very successful. So now that he is back, what are his motivations? I'm not just talking about on TV, but will he be back up until WrestleMania or beyond? And even larger than that, as you said, Tommy, is he back until, just in general, like, is he back to take the reins from Vince McMahon? And personally, I think Vince will never retire. I think he's going to be around until the day that he croaks, to be quite honest with you. That's just the personality that Vince has. I've never met the guy, but it seems like from what we've heard from insiders and people who've worked there, he's not going to retire on his own. But when that day comes, who will take over? It seemed like Triple H and Stephanie were the next in line, presumably, from what it looked like. But now that Shane is back, is he back in the meantime for the temporary, or is he back for the long haul? And that's what I'm looking forward to.
I feel like this, if they still are running with the so-called reality era of things, and you have articles written by Forbes all the time, constantly breaking down the business side of the decisions to do certain things with the company creatively, Forbes will really go after them and say, why did you make certain creative decisions when you know that your fans don't want to do this? It's driving down your revenue, your ratings are down. And to hear things out of conference calls with the shareholders meetings where Vince says, ratings aren't exactly what they used to be, and they're not exactly our focus anymore. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors, almost bringing kayfabe into the business world, where now, even when you're writing about the WWE, you still don't know what the WWE is doing. And I feel like that's got to be a stock saver, because if you can get everybody to believe in the story and the magic of how all this even happens to begin with on just a business level, real world, street level, then you really have people captivated from all walks. Anybody can look at this company and say, this is a big deal. It is a big deal. It's almost $1 billion company. They're a worldwide juggernaut. They are paving the way for video on demand libraries on just in the same way that Netflix and Amazon and other services are. And, they have partnerships with Hulu. They are as modern as it gets when it comes to their execution. They're excellent at it. And I'm just so interested in that side of this business that you never really get a full handle on. And knowing that he's back is a declaration of some sort. His intentions are that he is back to support this company. Whether or not he gets to do that because of this match coming up at WrestleMania is yet to be seen. But the fact that we get to see him and have that moment, that was very special. That was very cool.
And the fact that no one saw it coming. To give credit where credit is due.
How many? Yeah, let's just go around and say who we thought may have gotten that award.
Well, when Stephanie came out, I'm like, okay, this has to be a work. Because by that point, we were talking about it last week. It might be Bret Hart. It might be Daniel Bryan. Up until now, Daniel Bryan just retired 2-3 weeks ago. I'm figuring, okay, maybe it's Daniel Bryan or Bret Hart, as you said. But then when Stephanie comes out, I'm thinking, my heart is still beating. I'm disappointed, but I'm like, okay, we have to have something happen here. It can't be Roman Reigns. Something has to happen. Something has to kick off the official road to WrestleMania on a hot note. And you yourself, RJ, you said, what if it was Shane O'Mac? Jokingly, not like making an educated guess. You were like, what if it's Shane O'Mac? And I'm like, okay, don't even say it. Don't get my hopes up. And then we hear, here comes the money, and I lost it. I think it broke maybe 5 or 6 windows when I heard Shane O'Mac's music hit. It was amazing. But you got to give credit where credit is due. Not only that, but WWE, they know how to keep a secret. When the Dudley Boys came back, nobody knew. When Shane O'Mac came back, nobody knew. It wasn't reported. The only thing I saw was before Raw went live, I saw something from the Wrestling Observer, from Dave Meltzer, whatever, saying that tonight's Raw is going to be a big one. Like, buckle
something
up.
At the beginning of the show, they said, something's happening. So they've become much better at guarding what's going on at the show. I remember tons of leaks would happen a couple years ago, and for whatever reason, somebody was divulging information to like Squared Circle on Reddit and a couple of other places, and these things would pop up from time to time.
Mets fan or whatever his name was.
Yeah, Mets fan forever or something like that. So, while all of that's fun, as an actual fan of wrestling and not someone that just reads what's on the internet and then speculates as to what they missed by not watching the show, I don't understand that. Why there's so many fans out there that choose to participate in that way. But as a person that actually watches the show and appreciates everything they do, this caught me so off guard that it really made me believe in them again. And you need those moments every once in a while, because they never take a break. The show never goes off the air. They're so daunting in that way that to come up, we've talked about this before, I think in our first episode, to come up with original content, to write an original television show almost every day of the week on different platforms for different markets, for different niche audiences. How do you possibly get an A+ consistently? How do you maintain that? And you can't just say, well, sometimes we're going to do garbage shows, that'll happen. No, you can't. Your standard is Vince McMahon saying every show has to be the best. We have to be on top. We have to compete with every other television show that's airing during our time slot. We have a 3-hour show. We are still one of the most ambitious scripted sporting entertainment programs there is, if not the most. So how do you do that and pull that off effectively every week? And this is one of those moments where if you're not a wrestling fan, you can become one in an instant because you know that this is beyond exciting, whether you know the context of it or not. And they nailed it. The stakes are high, and now WrestleMania is as exciting as it should be.
And to quote you, like you texted me on Monday when this whole thing was going down, this was the moment that we were waiting for. This is the moment of change. To quote Wade Barrett, the winds of change are finally blowing in WWE. And the thing is that, they should be putting this effort into every show, like you said, every day of the year. Every show, not just the road to WrestleMania, which they do kind of go all out for, and they promote something every single week. Undertaker is already set to appear on Raw this week, already confirmed. Like every week, they're going to be going balls to the wall, going all out, putting forth an incredible effort to make this road to WrestleMania so special, more so than in previous years. They need to succeed. This WrestleMania needs to live up to the hype. I'm not talking about WrestleMania 27. It's going to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time, and it flops. Because of the AT&T Stadium, 100,000 people in that stadium, they need to have this road to WrestleMania feel special. No Randy Orton, no John Cena, no Sting, no Seth Rollins, no Daniel Bryan. They have a lot of hardships right now, but they're making the most of it. Cesaro and so many others, Tyson Kidd. They have so many hardships right now, but we only have 3 matches confirmed for WrestleMania. Triple H and Roman Reigns for the championship, Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar that I really want to talk about. No disqualification. That's going to be amazing. And now this, Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. I'm sold. I don't care about the rest of the card.
Sold.
Already bought my tickets to Dallas.
People have been talking about, not feeling excited for the title picture. The main event scene. And I tend to side with you, Graham. I'm really into it. I think that even with the bloody nose, the infamous now bloody nose of Roman Reigns, I still am so into that match. I really think that there's no one better to go against Triple H right now. If Triple H has to be the champion, which he has to be the champion, there's really no one else I would want to see. As we've seen Brock Lesnar versus Triple H before. I don't see Dean Ambrose earning that shot in Triple H's mind. Not in my mind, but in Triple H's mind, I don't see Dean Ambrose earning that shot at the belt. I see Triple H very much wanting Roman Reigns as an opponent, wanting to prove to the audience that he is the game and that Roman cannot play the game, and the game will walk out. My prediction, bold prediction right now, the game will be walking out of WrestleMania still champion, despite anything that happens between Shane and Undertaker.
It's not predictable.
Yeah, but I think...
predictable, though.
Yeah, it's not predictable, but I think the main event's more intriguing, or that title match intriguing, if it's before the Hell in a Cell. Because it's before in the Hell in a Cell, maybe Triple H wins, kind of dirty, and then Roman Reigns screws over Undertaker in the main event. Shane wins, outs the authority, and that could obviously set stuff down the line. But I think if it's in the main event, and Shane loses, and they already know the authority's still there, then he's probably just going to win. I think if they put it a certain place in the card, then you kind of get away with it.
They certainly don't have a lot of faith that if they put Roman Reigns in the final match of the night, they could potentially ruin the ending to their own show. Depending on how how that match goes will depend on how the crowd reacts.
Yeah.
And now that they have a trump card for that, I really do. I'm pulling for that lineup of an order. I want to see the final 3 matches would be Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose, followed by Triple H versus Roman Reigns, followed by The Undertaker and Shane O'Mac in Hell in a Cell. That, to me, just saying that out loud is just I am so excited for that, to see those 3 matches. And I really hope that that's the order they follow in, because I think what a fantastic narrative that is. All three of those stories have so much weight, so much bad blood, so much guts, and now you have the Phenom standing basically in the pocket of the Authority, it would seem.
I'm looking forward to seeing what he says on Monday.
Yeah.
Right?
Will he support Vince, or will he say, I'm not doing this, like, I want this to be my last match, maybe? That's been rumored for a long time, so
Perennially
we'll see.
rumored for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's hard to ignore the now main event scene. And I think that's been a long time coming, and their slow burn kind of storytelling, style has paid off big time. And I hope that the arena is packed to the gills. I hope that everybody comes out in full support, because this is what wrestling is all about.
Selfishly speaking, I'm just happy that for the first time in 6 years, Taker will be in the main event scene of WrestleMania. And no better place than in his native Texas.
Yeah.
If this is his last match, who knows? At this point, I think after the work that he's shown at Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, the guy is in as great a shape as he has been since he was a full-timer 5-6 years ago. They could easily get another year out of him, especially if they really want to do Cena Taker, a match that, again, I selfishly really, really want to see. I would love to see that at WrestleMania 33, especially if we're there in Florida, if they hold it there, but that's another topic for another day. But in terms of Taker in the main event of WrestleMania this year, I would love to see it. I think it's a lot better than doing Roman Reigns in the main event again. He hasn't been in the main event since WrestleMania 26, when he had the match of the year, in my personal opinion, the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 26. So I'm looking forward to that, but I absolutely agree with you guys, and the match order is imperative at WrestleMania 32.
Especially if, say that they do Roman Reigns and Triple H last, and Roman Reigns wins, they're going to boo him out of the building. They're cheering Triple H all the night in a row. They're not going to cheer for Roman Reigns. So even though Seth Rollins won, they still cheered the finish because it was amazing.
Well, at the same time, I mean, I told you last year I'm figuring, okay, Roman Reigns wins, LOL. Just because I say that, because at WrestleMania 29, that did not deter them from having John Cena go the predictable route, winning the championship, hugging The Rock. I left that WrestleMania I mean, I know you like that WrestleMania, but I mean, for me, I was like, wow,
Again,
I don't care what's next.
Their weird penchant
Yeah.
for respect and friendship.
That
being
was
some
kinda weird.
tantamount storytelling trope,
It didn't send the crowd, quote unquote, home happy. You know
But
what I
it's
mean?
better than them booing him out of the building like they would probably
Right.
do at Dallas if Roman Reigns won. No one's really got behind him. And I don't know what they have seen.
Well, same thing happened with The Rock, and now I'm seeing the parallel even stronger.
Yes.
And I'm feeling like they're starting to understand the parallel even stronger, and they were hoping that, the shadow of The Rock would not be the same way for Roman Reigns, and they could get him over in a different way. And certainly Roman has that ability, right? But he also has this, mentality of presenting himself, or just appearing to the audience as being above them, as being someone that gets a ton of privilege, that someone gets a ton of opportunity over other people because he's getting the push, and all of these other inside terms that, who cares about. The fact of the matter is that he is getting a reaction, and that reaction can turn into something really powerful. And we saw it with The Rock almost in the same exact way. People hated The Rock's guts. Die, Rocky, die. I mean, and you even hear it from The Rock in candid interviews. That stuff got to him at its core, and he had to do something with it. And I think when you're at this level on a national stage, going into one of the top 5 sporting events around the world that airs every year, Roman Reigns being placed in a title match certainly is going to put a lot on the line for him as a character, him personally, as a performer, and as a wrestler. And I think that he needs to put in the performance of a lifetime and still get booed out of the building. He needs to do everything perfect from here forward, and I think that he will start to win people over in the same way The Rock did. The Rock became absolutely electric in his career. So I expect to see good things out of Roman Reigns, because through adversity comes triumph.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think them pushing him so much, it's just what's deterring fans from liking him. Won the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row. He's been in the title scene a lot.
Almost won the Rumble 2 years in a row.
Yeah, almost won the Rumble 2 years in a row. But still, it's not like they kind of giving him the underdog kind of vibe, but he's one of the bigger guys on the roster.
Exactly.
They have him versus the League of Nations all the time in 4-1 handicap matches. Wins every time. It's not like it's some small guy oh my god, he probably won't win. He's bigger than everyone. He's stronger than everyone. Besides Lesnar, he's the biggest, strongest guy on the roster.
The Daniel Bryan formula does
does
not
work for
everybody.
him.
It's not. He's not Daniel Bryan.
And I
Think of Fastlane last year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think also if he kind of split away from the whole Shield kind of Roman Reigns, I think people would establish his own person. I think people would get behind him more.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he had you know, a little bit of that coming out of NXT, where he was definitely like riding that high trending, you know, suit wearing, I'm better than you kind of mentality as a character, and that's probably the closest to the Roman Reigns that we all see than the tactical vest wearing Superman. You know, I think that. I got a lot of respect for Roman. I got a lot of respect for Triple H going into that match. And now I'm excited because I truly don't know what's going to happen with Roman Reigns. How he'll fit into everything going forward.
Leading into the end of Raw here, like I said, I'm looking forward to this match. And I'd be hypocritical if I said I wasn't. This match has been in the works for 2 years. I love Dean Ambrose, like we said before, Lesnar and Triple H. We've seen that match one too many times. I did not want to see it again. Ambrose, as awesome as it would have been if he won on Sunday, it wouldn't have made any sense. Dean Ambrose, don't get me wrong, is also an enemy of the Authority, but not nearly as big as Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan have been. They are the two biggest, number one, probably neck and neck, for biggest enemies of the Authority. So it makes sense for Roman Reigns to face Triple H at Mania. We talked about this months ago, Tom. It's a match I really wanted to see at Mania, dating back years ago, dating back to 2014. But I just don't think it needs to be for the championship. But with the story they're telling, it kind of makes sense at this point. They've closed out the last 4 pay-per-views. Let's go back to Survivor Series. When Roman Reigns won the belt, Triple H came out, he speared him, Sheamus cashed in, TLC, we were there, beat the crap out of Triple H, Roman Reigns did. Royal Rumble, he beats him for the belt. Fastlane, they closed out the show like a press conference in like way. But these guys have been WWE programming, so it makes sense to do the match at Mania. Why I'm saying, people think it's predictable. It's really not at this point. But I'm saying I'm excited for it just because based off what we saw on Monday night, these guys, I feel like, can have a very hard-hitting affair. That brief brawl that we got for maybe 2 or 3 minutes where he, quote-unquote, broke his nose, it was a great angle. Like, they zoomed in on Reigns, and I know all these reports are coming out that WWE might be more edgier going into WrestleMania, which I think is cool. That kind of already happens every road to WrestleMania, but they focused in on the blood. They didn't, try to shy away from it because that was intentional to do the blood. You don't see that anymore, and it's cool. Like, I like having that kind of thing with blood being banned.
And that's what you could do in that third hour.
Exactly.
Like you have built up your whole evening towards something like pivotal that's going to set something going forward, and I'm going to be curious to see if he even shows up at SmackDown tonight. What kind of response is he going to get, knowing everything that goes around this broken nose right now, and him posting a picture of his broken nose, and the air quotes are raining down in here. But I still feel like it's going to give him that edge. That's going to give the show that edge of unpredictability. And it's examples like that really set the tone for what this WrestleMania could be. And if we have a Hell in a Cell involved at WrestleMania, this is definitely setting a tone of what we might be building up to see and preparing us to see something like that.
WrestleMania 17 is widely regarded as the greatest WrestleMania of all time because it had something for everybody. We had a great technical wrestling match between Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle. Yes, it was. A great main event between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock that had awesome storytelling. Even Shane and Vince, they're not even wrestlers. Shane, like you said, RJ, in your article today, best untrained wrestler ever. Absolutely agreed. They had a hell of a match.
His top rope elbows are just gorgeous.
And the coast to coast as well.
Oh, the coast to coast is something else. I mean, he clearly grew up living and breathing wrestling.
Yeah.
He's like the epitome of what a backyard wrestler is. But he's amazing.
He's incredible.
He's absolutely incredible.
I never wanted to admit it when I grew up. And Shane McMahon came out, I was just so disappointed with just life in general. I hated the Mean Street Posse. I couldn't stand them. I couldn't stand any of them because of the same way that someone like Roman just gets pushed. All of a sudden I have to spend my Monday night watching this new person come in, and I can't see my favorite technical wrestlers or whomever I liked at the time, do their thing on there. That all the screen time is being eaten up with this nonsense. And over the years, I was just constantly proven wrong all the time.
The performances that he has put in over the years, from late 99 to his street fight with Test at SummerSlam 1999 to his great Hell. This is not the first time he stepped inside Hell in a Cell. Go back 10 years ago to Unforgiven 06 when he and Vince and Big Show took on D-Generation X in one of the most disturbing, in the literal form of that word, and just disturbing just watching it. In terms of, you had to have to watch the match for yourself. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But it was a great match. That match, the match that he had, with Shawn Michaels, that he was involved in at WrestleMania 22. Great matches. I mean, he's much older now than he was back then, obviously. It's been a decade. I still think he's capable. But getting back to what you were saying before, just to kind of tie it all right back together, Roman Reigns and Triple H, Brock Lesnar and Ambrose, and now Shane and The Undertaker. Why I compare that to WrestleMania 17, I'm not at all saying this is going to be the greatest WrestleMania of all time. Who knows? It might be. But I say that because WrestleMania 17 had everything. This WrestleMania so far, from the 3 matches that we have, is going to have a little bit of everything. Charlotte and Banks and maybe Becky, from what they're setting up, is going to be that great women's match. Hell in a Cell will be that great spectacle of a match. Ambrose and Lesnar will be that hard-hitting, physical, personal street fight that we get at every single WrestleMania, and having like a real, true street fight that we haven't gotten in many years. And then Triple H and Roman Reigns will also be a very physical affair that I'm just looking forward to.
And then on the horizon to be announced in the near future, we have an Intercontinental match coming up for sure. We have a tag team match coming up for sure. I mean, talk about having something for everything. A lot is going to be on the line across the board. And if we take Fastlane as an example, nothing really changed hands, status quo maintained, but the stakes are raised double. And either Shane has a fantastic poker face or he is seriously dangerous, because when he was wrestling last, he did not have children. He did not have a family. He did not have a company he had to keep track of and be thoughtful of. For him to just step back in the ring, not even bat an eye at the prospect of doing that man's either got a great poker face or he's more dangerous than we have been led to believe.
I'm looking forward to see what happens at WrestleMania. I mean, the best part about Shane McMahon's return that we didn't even get to, they haven't gotten everything off on the table yet. There are still a lot more questions than answers coming out of Raw, specifically regarding, Shane McMahon. What is he holding over Vince? They mentioned how he helped him out in a dark time many years ago, but what was it? Like, they didn't spill the beans all at once, and I like how they're making us tune in every week to find out what that was. It's going to culminate in a great angle at WrestleMania, and like you said, the timing could not be better, because that night after WrestleMania is always amazing. Sometimes I look forward more to that than WrestleMania itself, but at the same time, we have something like to look forward to now. We always get that great crowd, a debut or a return or whatever, but now the future of Monday Night Raw is going to be determined on that Monday night, the night after WrestleMania. At WrestleMania itself, there is just so much at stake right now, where it feels like, and I know it's hard. It's hard. You go back to Survivor Series 2014, the Authority's done if they lose, and wow, like, we really have something that makes it feel must-see, and they come back a month later, so it's hard to take this stipulation seriously. I'm trying not to be negative here, but you never really know what might happen. Like, could Shane win, then he gets fired? Like, who knows? But I'm trying to put that aside because this was so well done. They threw us a very effective curveball on Monday night, and I'm always excited to be a wrestling fan, but now more than ever, the road to WrestleMania is here. And it's just going to be, starting next Monday night, The Undertaker is back on Raw for the first time in many months. What's he going to say?
Yeah, I can't even gather a thought as to what The Undertaker is going to come out and present to everybody, which side he'll be on. He's typically on his own side no matter what. So I can only imagine that he's been put into this big spot, and he's going to have to, his legacy's on the line in a way as well. To lose to Shane McMahon, to give control of the whole company and the Undertaker's potential future role in that company over to somebody new, and have that be because of him losing in the Hell in a Cell, his playground essentially. That's got to weigh heavy. Those are some hard times coming down on the Undertaker for sure, and I don't know how he's gonna present that to the rest of us. And I'm sure. A SmackDown tonight is going to be full of just more straightforward wrestling, rounding out everybody else and kind of building the rest of that picture as to what might be announced for WrestleMania. I know tonight, maybe we'll see a little bit out of Triple H, who's coming out, in his street clothes, ready to fight more and more, ready to talk about wrestling again, not less of the business side from Triple H. I know we got AJ or Y2AJ coming together to have some kind of tag match against the New Day tonight, which I'm very excited for. I think that is, Graham and I, you and I have talked about that a little bit, but, is it going to be the New Day at WrestleMania? Is it going to be potentially Y2 AJ at WrestleMania versus maybe the Dudleys or somebody like that? Or do the New Day have a chance to, retain their belts or lose their belts and still have a match before WrestleMania? I'm not sure how this is all going to play out. And that's, again, another exciting picture right now. So what are your thoughts about the potential team-up of AJ Styles, Y2J, and whether or not you think that they're going to be the next tag champions?
I think the common theme right now throughout the entire WrestleMania card and going to SmackDown tonight, AJ Styles and Jericho specifically, there's a lot of directions they can go with it. Like, they can have them feud, they could have them team with Shane, they could have a surrogate in the match, it could be Finn Balor for all we know. It could be Shane and Finn Balor versus the Brothers of Destruction, given Shane's history with Kane, from 10 years ago, who knows. But specifically with these guys, there's a lot of different directions they can go. I know we were talking on Monday via text, Tom, about how it could be an Iron Man match at WrestleMania, which would be amazing. Or it could be AJ and KO. It could be Kevin Owens. Or it could be KO, AJ, and Y2J in a triple threat for the Intercontinental Championship. I feel like at some point, because Kevin Owens has been calling out AJ Styles on Twitter, on WWE.com, so I feel like that will lead to something.
It's on the horizon for sure.
Very much so. And that's going to be a great Intercontinental Championship picture.
Did you catch the Michael Cole show sit down
with
AJ this week? That's what surprised me. That's what kind of turned my mind to say that maybe they are going to form a tag team right now with AJ Styles and Y2J. I mean, he really said that, hey, this is actually working out, and maybe this is going to be something that we do for a while. And you know what? That's a great place for somebody like AJ, because the more experience he gets, the more well-rounded he gets in the WWE at that level, the more of a contender he can walk right out and say, yeah, I did accomplish something. I walked in and I could hang with the best of the best. And then not only that, but I won those people over, and we did something together that nobody thought we could do. Out of that adversity, we won titles. We won a World Tag Team Championship titles. And then from there to move on to maybe becoming an Intercontinental Champion. Then you got the clout to step up and say, I am the best. Look at my resume. Clearly I deserve a shot at the World Heavyweight title. And that is the type of career that AJ Styles on Monday's review with Michael Cole, that's something that he really said pretty plain as day, that he's interested in the long run.
Yeah, I think the injection of AJ and Y2J would be good for the tag team division. I think. Yeah, Graham's got the Y2J shirt on, but with no end zone cast, which is pretty highly rumored for Fastlane, I think they should just focus. I think Y2J and AJ would actually be a good team. Maybe that's then eventually they lose the titles to like an end zone cast or an NXT call, but that would be a big deal. They beat Chris Jericho and AJ Styles, like it's probably one of the most decorated tag teams ever, besides like Triple H and Stone Cold back in the day. But then when you look at the other like perspectives, then who does Kevin Owens face? I think you could easily do a Kevin Owens like a mystery opponent, maybe like a Finn Balor or Samoa Joe. Whoever doesn't win that match at Dallas, he comes out at WrestleMania like I don't have a match, so whoever wants to come out and fight me. And then one of them comes out and faces him.
Let's go.
Or Sami Zayn even.
Oh, now there is a prospect that would light the room on fire.
Yeah.
That place would go. That place would explode. Dallas would just be electric. That would be my preference. If there was anyone to come out and shock people at WrestleMania, I think having Sami Zayn make an appearance, because he has held the NXT title before. He's been in that spot. He has made an impact on Raw before. He's certainly stepped up to the plate, and now, injuries aside, he's ready to take on Kevin Owens again, and that is something that I don't think Kevin Owens is exactly prepared for. He's doing well against all the competition around him. He's definitely becoming that bigger fish, all the time. And somebody like Sami Zayn has enough energy to come in and just wipe him off and take him off.
It's impeccable timing. Let's look at it this way, because we got April 1st, 15 years exactly to the day removed from the greatest WrestleMania of all time, debatably, arguably, WrestleMania 17. And April 1st, 2016, we have NXT TakeOver Dallas. On that show, spoiler alert, people, I apologize. Most people probably already know by this point. Sami Zayn will be going one-on-one with Shinsuke Nakamura.
Can't believe that.
It's amazing. Like, again, I'm sold. That weekend is going to be, I can't even talk about it. It's just going to be incredible. But that Friday, Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, to me, that feels like Sami Zayn's swan song in NXT before he goes up to the main roster. I'm thinking a night after WrestleMania appearance, and they could always do that then too. You know, we could kind of blend everyone's thoughts here together. Maybe they do KO, AJ, and Y2J, because I told you, Tom, a couple times over text, they need to keep this going with AJ and Jericho. Like, I love this feud so much. I mean, other than Shane coming back on Monday, before that, hands down, my favorite program in WWE right now. Keeps me watching Raw, SmackDown, great matches, great promos, great character development. Jericho has yet to, he's going to turn tonight. Oh, but he didn't. They're going to team instead. Like, they're keeping you on your toes. There's a lot of different directions they can go with it, but not the way that I would book it, but it's a possibility. Maybe you do a triple threat at Mania, a 20-minute, 30-minute Iron Man match with 3 guys, AJ, Y2J, and KO. KO wins. I've beaten everybody. I beat Dean Ambrose. I beat Y82J, Y8. You know what I mean? It gets confusing. Beat both guys in the same night at WrestleMania. I beat them all. Sami Zayn comes out the night after WrestleMania. I mean, it'd be a lot like Paige from a couple of years ago, but beats him for the Intercontinental Championship first night in. Or they have a match at WrestleMania or something like that.
We do have to remember that Raw is as exciting and unpredictable as WrestleMania the night before. So a lot of these ideas that we're speculating on could easily be turned around on us and then pop right up the next night. So, you know, obviously Sami Zayn has a hell of a battle at TakeOver coming up. That is a huge match. That is a match I never thought I'd get to see, you know, on a WWE branded show. So this is, you know, big news for NXT. TakeOver is going to be huge. And I know this show has been hijacked by the return of Shane McMahon, as it should be. I think that, you know, we've touched on what's going to make SmackDown interesting tonight, and we've touched on everything that's going on in the main roster picture. But as far as what happened last night on NXT, you know, some interesting developments coming out of that, starting off with the tag picture. American Alpha versus Blake and Murphy. RJ, I know you're a huge American Alpha fan. They looked strong as ever last night. So what were your thoughts on American Alpha?
Great match. I thought it was a good match. I think Blake and Murphy, I give them more credit than Graham does. I think they're a good tag team. I think they're kind of bland. They really don't have any direction, but I think they're good work in the ring. They can do good matches. I think they're good like that, but I think Alexa Bliss split from them would be good for her at least. I don't know, but it didn't do them any good. But good to see American Alpha win. Big, strong victory, and hopefully they get a no more contenders match coming up, or do they just get Dash and Dawson at Dallas?
I think they deserve a number 1 contenders match. I think Enzo and Cass have had their shot. They've been working towards that again, but you know, I think American Alpha is stepping up to the plate and saying, you got your shot, now we're going to take our shot whether you like it or not, and we are just as good, if not better than you on a regular basis. And here you got Blake and Murphy, clearly Alexa Bliss's henchmen, and that's exactly what they are. They are just like no good henchmen, just coming out and acquiring more territory, acquiring more things for Alexa Bliss to hold under her purview. But American Alpha came out, absolutely showed everybody how strong they are all the time, and I couldn't have been happier to see them step up into that role over the last couple of weeks and really make a name for themselves. And they're getting over like crazy, and I'm happy for them. Like, that is the kind of tag team wrestling that we deserve to see at that level. It's fast-paced, it's coordinated, it's thought through, cohesive, all of the things that makes tag team wrestling exciting and explosive. So this, I hope to see them at TakeOver. I think they deserve it. They've worked their asses off.
A great opener that I think can be summed up in 3 words. Ready?
Willing?
Oh, God.
Wait for that 3rd word.
Gable.
There we go. He's the Jason Jordan of the tag team here. I was showing RJ the videos a couple days ago of like when they first started teaming, when Chad Gable had the towel, when the initial version of the towel, he'd go, ready, willing, and Jordan would go, no, I'm not doing it.
See, I'm still at that point. I love American Alpha, but then there's that part of me that was still just dragging my feet towards liking them, and every time that damn towel comes up, I'm reminded.
I love the towel.
I love it. I love to hate it. I love it though. It just gets in my brain, and then I just see it, and then, oh God. They're fantastic. But, we saw a return of Apollo Crews last night. We saw a couple of returns last night of some people that had taken a little bit of a detour. But Apollo Crews came out, looked great. I want to kind of quickly slide past that because I know we're crunched on a little bit of time here. Bull Dempsey.
Is he back? Did he get rehired?
I don't know.
I don't know. Kayfabe is still alive, right? I don't know.
What do you guys think about that?
Okay, so here's the thing. Bull Dempsey, I was never really high on to begin with. I like the bull fit thing, but hey, got cut from the company. That's not his fault. And they have so many people coming in. You got to pay Austin Aries with something. They're paying, apparently, according to what I read today, they're paying Nakamura main roster level money. That money doesn't grow on trees. They're paying that money to people like Sylvester Lefort, Marcus Louis, Bull Dempsey. You gotta cut him. I know we're not talking about his release, but showed up on NXT last night. It was like coming back from the dead. But they taped so many shows in advance, it's really hard to blame them. But it was an alright match. I didn't really care that much. I think Tommaso Ciampa is a good talent. I think I give him more credit than you do, RJ, because I know you're a big Johnny Wrestling guy, Johnny Gargano, who is great, by the way. But I do like Ciampa. I think he had a good showing last night, kind of a throwaway match compared to the other matches on the show, but, fine for what it was.
It's interesting to see Bull come back. He does have such a good heart about him. He definitely has a warmness that is definitely welcome in wrestling. Personality type that you don't see too often. Somebody that's able to come out and be, all around well-rounded, not only able to keep up with, somebody like Tommaso Ciampa in the ring, and have that look, as heavyweight as that did. But, Bull Dempsey has a little bit of that comedy lighter side to him. I'm not a huge Bull Dempsey fan. I was never a Bull Dempsey fan. I'll go as far as to say that. But I appreciate the diversity of ideas that he brings to the table. And I think at the NXT level, having a guy, he's almost like the Big Show of the NXT. Malleable, able to fit in with a number of different people. And I certainly would rather look at him than Alex Riley any day. Just saying. Sorry, Graham.
I'll say this much. I know he wasn't on the show. I don't know if you saw it, Tom.
Oh my
I'm not going to be... Okay, I'm biased. I'll say that much. But they had a promo on YouTube last night with A-Rod. He was like, is this what NXT has come to? And I won't sum up the whole thing. It was like a la Steve Austin 1995. But it was a good promo. He started talking about Nakamura coming in, all these other guys getting all the focus, like Kevin Owens when he first came in. I thought he looked like a plumber. Like all this other stuff that was hilarious. But... they got a direction for him, apparently. I don't know why he didn't cut that promo on NXT last week when he lost to Ty Dillinger for no apparent reason. We talked about that last week, but, it's interesting. They cut Bull, but they kept Alex Riley. So, I know I'm an Alex Riley fan, but I guess they see something in him. He's no Nakamura.
It's the rage. It's got to be the rage.
It's the rage. So, it's the theme song. Say it to my face. Great theme song. But by Downstate. But, they must see something in him that, I guess, because he talked about in the promo, the new guard of NXT is here. We have all this new influx of talent. Alex Riley's kind of like the old guard. He was the original NXT, which... I think celebrated 6th-year anniversary on Tuesday, NXT he did, and he was on the 2nd season, so he's been here for a long time. I'm not saying he's going to become world champion, nor should he be, but I think he does have a place in the company. I will say this much. I would much rather see him go up against Apollo Crews at TakeOver than Elias Sampson, which I feel like is the direction they're going in, unfortunately.
I'm actually going to... You found my kryptonite. I'm going to have to agree to that.
The Drifter, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but... I don't care. I don't care.
You like his promo last night? Him singing the guitar?
Jeff Jarrett 2.0?
Yeah. It's the gritty Jeff Jarrett reboot, as I call him. But yeah, I agree. I think that I would much rather see Alex Riley than Elias Sampson. I can't believe I'm saying that. But other people that I can't believe that are starting to impress me a lot, Eva Marie and Nia Jax. I'm not totally surprised given their... nothing to lose mentality that they got to win over Bayley and Carmella, or what's their Baymella?
Baymella.
Yes, that. I'm not surprised. I think Bayley and Carmella come in looking for a fair fight, and I don't think Eva Marie and Nia Jax even know how to do that. So, they're Nia Jax physically imposing, constantly ready to give you a beatdown, and Eva Marie just not a fair fighter in anybody's realm. So that was a good match. I'm excited to see what the one-on-one match for TakeOver is going to be coming out of that, because clearly only one of them can really go against Bayley for the title. And I still believe and still want to see Asuka go for that title at TakeOver. So I'm not sure that either one of these, either Eva Marie or Nia Jax, are actually going to get that shot come TakeOver. And maybe they don't deserve it quite yet. Maybe their tactics don't allow them into that realm quite yet.
We got time. We got time before TakeOver. We got about 6 weeks. I mean, how many weeks until WrestleMania? About under 6 weeks. So the same amount of NXTs. Like Samoa Joe and Sami Zayn, next week on the show, 2 out of 3 count falls, #1 contenders match, which should be stellar. But I think the same thing can be said for the women's championship picture, that I think a new #1 contender will be crowned in the next couple of weeks between Nia Jax, Eva Marie, Carmella. Carmella has come a long way. Like, I was pretty hard on her in the beginning, but she's really come a long way. She's no Bayley in the ring, but she's still very, very good. Yeah. Same thing with Eva. Same thing with Nia Jax. I didn't like any of those girls, but they really come a long way. They can main event NXT any week, any day of the week, and they'd be, they're over for the most part. So I like the team of Nia Jax and Eva. I like the fact they won. I love Baymella, but I think it gets extra momentum on the heels. So now it's not like when Asuka goes up one of them against one of them, or Carmella for that reason, for that that being said too, that they're not like throwaway. They're not like, oh, we know Asuka's going to win, we know Carmella's going to win because these women are losers. They're not. They just beat the team of Carmella, the former #1 contender to the championship and the NXT Women's Champion. That's a big win in the main event of NXT, no less. So I like the direction this is taking. I thought the match was good. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for the NXT Women's Championship. No appearance from Asuka last night. Made me pretty sad. But I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for the women in NXT. So, RJ, I want to get your thoughts real quick. Carmella is, I know, among your favorites. Did you enjoy her in-ring presence last night?
I think she's come a long way. Like you said, a lot of people were very against her right when she debuted with Enzo and Cass. But in the ring, I think she's been improving immensely. And I think she has a good personality. She's got charisma. She's improved in the ring. So I think her future's in NXT. I hope she gets, once Enzo and Cass get called up, I hope she can appear on Raw and stuff. I hope she focuses on working as a singles women's star. But when you're looking at the NXT women's title picture, it makes only sense if Asuka would be the next one to get a title shot. Eva Marie already had her shot. Alexa Bliss had her shot. Carmella had her shot. And Nia Jax had her shot. All 4 or 5 of the biggest NXT women's
couldn't get the job
talents tried to beat Bayley, and they couldn't. Asuka's the only one that hasn't got that shot yet. So I think it would only make sense if she's the one to get the next shot at Bayley.
Great
At the same time, I will say this much, though. Just because they've already been beaten doesn't mean they can't go back after the belt. Look at Samoa Joe. Guy lost in London, but he's still vying for the championship. So don't count them out just yet. I know
look
Asuka.
at Baron Corbin. He's still going after it pretty hard as well. So
next week, I'll say this much. Next week is going to be great. Looking forward, we have that #1 contenders match. I'm sorry, it's not next week. It's 2 weeks from now. I botched. Next week, Finn Balor versus the longest reigning NXT champion of all time, Neville. Not only that, but the appearance of a fresh face on NXT. I won't spoil who it is, but it's a big name. It's going to be a great show. A lot of stuff to look forward to. But yeah, Asuka, to your point, I know you're saying that, RJ, is a lot like me. That's the match that we want to see, because that's the match I want to see Asuka as women's champion too. I get it. But at the same time, Carmella, she said last night that her and Bayley, despite being best friends, she said, hey, I'm going to go back after that championship someday. I know we're teaming tonight, and I love you, but I want that title. So it's not yet done. It's not like, I went for it and I failed. And like you said, if they go up to the main roster, Enzo and Cass, the championship is still her, she still has her sights set on that title.
Final thoughts, guys, going into tonight, SmackDown.
I love wrestling. I love SmackDown. I love the WWE. I love Shane McMahon. I sound like a total mark right now.
It should be a good wrestling show. Because Raw had a lot of good segments, but I think if they focus on the wrestling more. So if you're looking for wrestling, watch SmackDown tonight.
Mauro Ranallo's back tonight too.
Oh, that is fantastic news. And I am just looking forward to WrestleMania for the opportunity to see Shane McMahon take on The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell and potentially have the Authority walk completely away from power. And as a throwback to ECW, from my days of watching ECW on the Spanish channel, channel 27, at about 11:30 at night, here's a classic, Pantera, Walk.